Hello and welcome to goddamn fucking House of Decline. It's me, your host Alex, and your other host Steven is also here.
Hi.
And before I introduce our super special guest, give us money. Patreon.com/House of Decline. Give us money. Extra comics, extra shows, extra podcasts, extra everything. So much fucking content. We make content now. That's all we do. We're media assholes now. And now is the guest. Now is a wonderful person. I've loved this guy's comics online ever since I saw him. One of the modern legends, one of the modern masters. Oh. It's Keith Stack. We're so happy to have Keith Stack here. How you doing, Keith?
Hello. Hi. I'm doing great. Everyone should give you money. Everyone should go on Patreon and give you money.
You heard it here, folks. Leslie and Brienne directly telling you to give us money.
Yeah, hand it over.
So you create the Leslie and Brienne comics. Are they called the Leslie and Brienne? What do you have a name for them?
I guess like a Wacky Lesbian Hour is like the title for the series, but also like it's weird to have like a title for a series with like Twitter comics. Yeah. And so like I don't know if anyone like knows or cares if there's a title. I think most people just call them Leslie and Brienne comics.
Yeah,
so,
L+B. Yeah, because it's about them. It's about their relationship at the core of the comic.
Yeah.
What I also find interesting about the comic is it's like the only gaming webcomic, which isn't like an irony, which will actually like talk about gaming, but in a way that people connect to, and it's not like old hat like Penny Arcade,
right? Well,
or something like that.
You know. I don't know if I'm like I think there's some like not so ironic gaming. I don't know. What do you mean by that? Like
I've already this is a charged statement. No, but what I mean by that is that like I feel like gaming comics had a sort of a great dying out in like the old period of webcomics.
Definitely. Well, I mean they were like the only webcomics pretty much. Because everyone using the internet was like a dork back in the day. But now everyone uses the internet.
Yeah.
So there's more varied interest, I guess, which has led to not as much dorky video game comics.
Yeah. I think it's interesting to see stuff back then which was more general interest. I didn't know that Questionable Content is the biggest Patreon comic. It has like 12,000 subscribers. Yeah. People love QC still. They're big into QC still.
I got a question. Do you guys think games like Fortnite have incorporated more of like the cartoonish and comic type of humor? Maybe taking some of that market away from the gaming webcomics?
Well, I think Fortnite, its style was directly influenced by Team Fortress 2, right?
It seems like it. It's got that angular 3D
I don't
thing.
necessarily mean like by just stylistically, but like the fact that Fortnite, it has the dances and the memes and the funniness.
Right. I mean, like, you go back to like Earthworm Jim and that like takes from like the humor of the time. So I don't know if like that's necessarily a new thing.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I also think, but I think there is a point made because, like, the gaming webcomic used to also be a hub of gaming community as well.
Right.
So much so that Penny Arcade was able to get, like, a still successful con running, every year, a gaming convention, which I'm very impressed by.
Right.
But now it takes place in-game. You don't need those hubs of online gaming communities anymore because
that is true.
Yeah.
I guess, you can congregate in the games to discuss the games and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Leslie and Brienne, it's also not just a gaming webcomic either. That's a part of their characters, but that is, ultimately secondary to like the true narrative of the comic, which is about their relationship.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
I think that's my interpretation. That's my interpretation of it.
I think, I'm kind of just drawing from what I know and what I'm thinking about at the time. So I don't know if there is any grand narrative. I don't know what I'm doing, basically. Yeah. I'm making them up as I go along. And I like video games a lot. And so, I throw a lot of video game references or topics of interest in there. And that's probably why they play game. I guess to some extent it's like it can be an homage to like the webcomics of old and the penny arcades and the VG cats and whatnot. I mean, to some extent, I think it is like a large homage to like older internet humor and culture and stuff like that, which was, as we discussed, like super video game centric largely. I mean, in a sense, these Twitter comics are like a big homage to like my dumb like Newgrounds comics as a teenager, like cartoons as a teenager. So
absolutely, you were on Newgrounds. You love Newgrounds. I love Newgrounds as well.
Yeah. I made a lot of cartoons for Newgrounds because that's where you put moving cartoons back in the day, like before streaming video and YouTube and all of that. Computers couldn't handle live action videos, so everyone was making like fun cartoons for the internet, right?
Strawberry Clock, get those guys in there. You could, I love that stuff because, talk about inspirations of limited animation and, foundational, because the humor now seems very, from those like fucked up meme videos. It's all like everything now is like a weird 3D model, like rotating to hyperpop music and and it feels indebted to that like very like the weirder side of Newgrounds and the stuff that developed there. But
well, I think kids today, instead of like growing up like learning Flash and stuff, like posting things on the internet, they're all learning like video editing software. So like their like version of shit posts are, I guess, like spawning from like YouTube poops and stuff like that is like that's their toolkit that they're working with.
It does feel like Newgrounds is getting more ingrained in the culture because of like something like the massive success of Smiling Friends.
Right. Yeah, it's you're starting to see like all the people who grew up on Newgrounds like getting into the industry and stuff, and seeing that sort of like humor sort of like seep its way into everything.
I mean, it was a big deal. I mean, Smiling Friends was a big deal for me because it was like, the scene in The Simpsons when Homer's mom sees Joe Namath's sideburns for the first time and the sunshine of your love starts rotating. That was me watching Smiling Friends because it was like, oh, this feels like something that is very specific to my age bracket and experience that has never really been on a mainstream television show, or at least not pulled off so successfully on a mainstream television channel.
I didn't know you felt that strongly about it.
I think Smiling Friends is, but it's like, it's an inspiration because it feels like someone like me could get their own show on Adult Swim now. Now is our time. Now we are getting the big media properties. I would love. I mean, you've animated Leslie and Brienne. I love their voices. I think it's interesting. What is the decision for Leslie to be British? You just like the voice of that actor?
Well, she's not like, it's not supposed to be British. It's supposed to be more like what's the phrase, like transatlantic?
Oh, transatlantic.
Like, prefers to speak with like an air of elegance. I suppose.
I see. That makes sense to me. That makes sense.
Not necessarily the British, but also like
Lady Frasier.
Yeah, exactly. And like back in like the Newgrounds cartoons I did, like I just did the voices, and like they were just like a crappy teenager doing like lady voices, and so I gave her like I guess sort of like a falsetto like Frasier voice, and so I wanted to like stick to that. Yeah.
Is the game with them like animated shorts now? Are you moving on? Because you're an animator like at heart, right?
Yeah. I am. Professionally, I work in animation. So I would love to like make more animated stuff, but it's time consuming to make animations because you got to do a lot of drawing and takes a while. Yeah. And I like churning out the daily comics. So I'd love to slowly chip away at some more animation at some point.
Get some interns. Get some CalArts interns.
I should. Maybe. Who knows?
No, don't get calories in. Here's the you said churning away at the daily. I also love the daily. As someone who is a fan of the daily comics grind, I liken it to meditation. Do you ever have this experience when you're doing these daily comics?
I suppose so. It's so I guess I should explain the story of how I wound up doing the daily comics.
Yeah, the daily. Yeah, because you had done these characters before, but never in this daily format. When did you start doing that?
Well, COVID occurred, and I used to have a pretty darn long commute to work. I don't know how familiar you are with the layout of New York, but I live at the tippity top of the Bronx.
Oh,
and
dang.
The animation studio I work at is in Brooklyn. So I used to
wow. So you had to 6 train to J train or something?
Yeah, I the D to the F, and so I had an hour and a half commute both ways every day, and then COVID happened and everyone started working from home, and suddenly I had a lot of free time out of nowhere, and I was I should start just drawing a dumb I started drawing a picture of Sonic the Hedgehog every day on my Twitter in March of 2020.
Who doesn't like Sonic? Yeah.
And then I started doing a little countdown to his birthday, which was in a month, and it was his 29th birthday of Sonic the Hedgehog. And then I hit that, and then as a joke the next day I was all right, 300 and such days till his next birthday. But then I just kept going with it, and I did year-long countdown to his 30th birthday, and I got a bit of a little bit of a follow, going from 100 followers to 2,000 something followers, and then I did that, and then that anniversary hit, and I was well, I guess I should just keep drawing Sonic.
Absolutely.
And then I kept drawing a countdown to the Sonic Colors Ultimate release.
yeah.
Then after that, I was all right, I guess I'll draw every Pokemon. I'll draw a Pokemon a day. And then I kept doing that. And then I guess my popularity sort of fell off, and I was all right, that was fun. That was a fun little 15 minutes of fame being the popular draw Sonic a day guy.
Sure, yeah.
And I was all right, I'm just going to draw whatever now. And then I listened to a podcast where they were discussing the old Flash cartoon bonus stage. And that got me sort of reminiscing about old Flash cartoons. And I was oh, I should draw my old cartoon characters again. And I posted it, and people really liked it. And so I was ooh, I should just keep drawing my cartoon characters. And that's sort of how this birthed. And they became surprisingly popular.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of stuff. I mean, who knows why stuff becomes popular? But in my diagnostic, I think there's not a ton of queer gag comics, which I think is also. Are you a straight guy? I'm not. I don't know.
Yes, I'm a straight guy.
But I think that's you have lots of fans in the lesbian, tons of fans in the lesbian and queer community abroad.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah. Do you feel heartened to have been because there's always a risk you're taking when you're depicting somebody from a group you're not a part of. You don't want to do it wrong.
I was not sure if I would get in trouble or not. I don't know. I was I hope I don't get in trouble. And so far, I don't think I've gotten in trouble.
Well, yeah.
You need a sidekick looking out for you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You should add Keith John sidekick. Your own Brienne. Well, I don't know. Who would you be in the relationship, the Brienne or the Leslie?
I don't know.
I am a Brienne. I know for sure that I am a Brienne. In our podcast relationship, Steven is the Leslie for sure. Absolutely.
It's good to know.
But that's something that I do because I'll do cartoons about trans people, and it's always nice to me when they're well received by trans people,
right?
Because it's I feel these are groups that don't have a lot of jokes about themselves that are like
Right.
funny. Usually when there's like a joke about a lesbian or a trans person, it's like somebody attacking them in some
Right.
weird veiled way. And I think, these are communities that are hungry for jokes about them that are like treat them as humans,
Right. I think, there, I don't know, like there seems to be like a tendency with like LGBT media to like, it's very like, I don't know, it's very, I don't know how to phrase
It's
it.
canonized. It's angels. You become It's like, did you see Pose?
No.
Like, I loved Pose. Pose is a great show, but so much of the show is spent between you're either suffering as a queer person or you're like an angelic, god as a queer.
Right.
There's no in between where you're allowed to be just like a weird, shitty person. And I think that's what people like about Leslie and Brienne is because they're flawed like me.
Right.
They do things like me. They're dirty. Everybody knows dirty people who have like a terribly unkempt apartment, but they're made for each other. That's it's a humanizing traits, and
Right. I guess like everyone deserves like good, cool stuff. With like gay people should have goofy cartoons.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I think how influenced are you by Love and Rockets and the Hernandez Bros?
I'm not familiar.
Oh, that's
But,
very interesting
let me-
because in terms of like the pantheon of like straight guys doing like compelling relationship based queer comics with sort of flawed characters, the Hernandez Bros are like where
Did
it's
you say
at.
Love and Rockets?
Love and Rockets, 80s comic Love and Rockets. They draw them like the Goyles from Archie comics. They draw
Well,
them like
there's
the
also,
Goyles from Archie comics, but they have like really in-depth, compelling relationships, and they're funny and they're human. And people like these comics. Lesbians really like these comics as well.
Well, there's
which is,
also an 80s rock band called Love and Rockets.
I'm sure. One of them has to do with the other.
Are you sure?
Maybe not. I have no idea. I shouldn't say things. But I know one of your big influences, Keith, something that you said was like, especially the relationship dynamic of Leslie and Brienne is Ren and Stimpy as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like, the origin of them, I'm pretty sure like I was just, a teenage boy and I wanted to like draw Ren and Stimpy, but with boobies,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go. You were 14. You were on Newgrounds. That's your thought process. And it worked.
Yeah.
That's all you need. But you expand the characters, you fill them with your own preoccupations, which fleshes them out emotionally, How is have you ever do you feel like honor bound to character? Sometimes I feel honor bound to my characters that I create,
I don't know what that means.
So, do you ever feel like
would you die for them?
Oh, would I die for that?
would you die, or you've accidentally created a person, like even though it's a fictional person, somehow you have divine creation over them, and you want to give them a good life.
I guess I don't want them to suffer unless it's very funny.
Yes, that's true. But they'll recover because they're cartoons. They can be, they can gutted. It's fine.
Exactly. They can have their face blown off and be fine in the next comic.
But is there when down the line, how would you end it? Would you want to give them a happy ending in the end where they're
goodness, I mean, I've been on and off drawing them for over 15 years. So in my head, I don't want to end it. I want them to go to the grave with me.
Absolutely,
just want to
absolutely
make them forever.
Have you been doing the polls for the comics this whole time, or when did that start?
No, that started 2 weeks ago. I was like, oh, I should do a fun little choose your own adventure sort of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How has that been going?
It's been going okay. I've been having fun with it. I think people have been enjoying it. I've been enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can participate in this choose your own adventure on your Twitter account, which I'll link to. I know of one other cartoonist who's done that on Twitter, and it's the Goblin Comics guy. Do you know Goblin Comics?
I feel like that could describe a lot of comics.
There's a lot of goblin.
There's a lot of
comics out there.
goblin going on.
People
in the world
identify
right
with
now.
goblins nowadays.
I think it was called Goblin Comics, but if you just search for it, you're not gonna find it.
Pull-based, choose your own adventure. You draw what your audience says.
Right.
Right. No. I think, like the inspiration that everyone like pointed out as soon as I started doing it was like stuff like MS Paint Adventures, Homestuck. Which was like,
Homestuck. Lovely Homestuck.
So I was like, I should do
Homestuck freaks me out.
Because of the passionate fans.
Well, also just because it feels like some arcane tome that's huge. It's like the Vivian Girls, or like it's like outsider art or something that I'm not supposed to like. Anyone who glimpses it and understands it truly goes insane or something like that. There's all the characters look the same, but they have in-depth lore, and people form like really intense associations with them. So it feels like. It also feels like something that I would like. I liked Undertale, but it didn't get me in my soul like it gets to some people.
Right. I think, I wonder if that's like a generational thing. Cause like, I think for like young people, they got like super sucked into Undertale, and it's like a super important thing to them. Yeah. And, like I played Undertale and I loved it, and it was rad, but like I kind of, I played it. I enjoyed it. I had fun reading about all the different routes and stuff, but it didn't like have quite the impact on me as like people who've like, I guess like gone down like a fandom rabbit hole about it. But I'm like a big Sonic the Hedgehog nerd. Like,
there you go. I mean, why do you
so, like,
have you plumbed that depth? And why do you like Sonic so much?
Why do I like? That's a very heavy question. I don't know. I'd have to like meet with multiple therapists and have like hours of sessions to get to the bottom of that. But I just I grew up with Sonic, and like since like the 90s, I've been like posting on the internet about Sonic the Hedgehog. So
one of my earliest usernames was Sonic.
Really?
And then some numbers.
For Sonic is cool.
AIM, yeah.
It's hard to be the first Sonic username anywhere.
Oh man, can you imagine how lucky that guy is?
Yeah. Or your Sega, and you have the @Sonic. You have the clout to wield around that @Sonic money.
There's some people who just like got a one-letter Twitter account back in 2007 and have made a career because they got that.
I'm so frustrated. I made my Twitter account in like 2009, I think, and I feel like I could have probably gotten like Keith, and I kicked myself for like not going for that and going for like my full name instead.
Well, there you go. You can all of these regrets. All of these regrets I have about my Twitter. My old Twitter handle was Jack Dump, but somebody had sat on that for a while. And then I got banned for making fun of a Turkish guy.
Yeah.
It was, but then new life was formed. New life was brought in.
You took the Twitter account I made.
You made it, yes.
And you blew it up, so now I can't even use it anymore.
Yeah, you can use it. You can say stuff. You can say stuff on it.
Can I use it?
Yeah, you should. I'll send you the password. It's really easy. I think it's like I love cum.
It's I love cum. Yeah, that's the password to all of our stuff. So something that I wanted to talk to you about, because I've been mulling over recently, is you talked about Ren and Stimpy is like a big influence, and for me too, that shit is immensely foundational. Because I was watching it when I was too young to be watching it. I was like 3 or 4 when I was watching Ren and Stimpy.
Here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the whole reason I like got interested in cartoons and animation is because just being little and being obsessed with Ren and Stimpy.
But also, like, when you get a little older and you learn about animation and learn about, like, the Spoomco style and think, how about, no model sheets? This is cool. That's why everything looks so fucking weird all the time. And that's why it took like 80 years to animate each episode.
Right.
But then you get a little older, and then you find out, John Kricfalusi is one of the worst people on Earth.
Yeah.
I mean, so I suppose the question is, like, when you found that out, did you have trouble reconciling it, or were you fucked up about it, or was like?
I think it's been said a lot. It's been like kind of an open secret for a long time, right? That he's, been like that. I mean, I recall, he used to have a blog where he would like give advice and stuff, and the woman he abused, she like worked with him and stuff. And I recall like back in the day, like on the Something Awful forum, everyone sort of like realized how like messed up the situation was. And like, so it didn't like hit me like a ton of bricks necessarily that he was like I feel like it's been pretty well known that
so it was a gradual, you were acclimatized to the idea that this guy
I guess that makes it sound like I'm okay with it.
No, it's not that you're okay with it, but just that record, it was like
it's bad to do what he did. But
I think also like Ren and Stimpy 2 is not just the work of John Kricfalusi.
Oh no,
it is the work of Bob Camp and Bill Ray.
Every big production is like a big collaborative effort. And
all that production music that made it so good that was invented by British dudes in the 60s.
Absolutely.
I think did you ever go on to see Ren and Stimpy adult party cartoon?
I watched it as it aired,
Yeah. Because I always thought, wow, if this is John K's unvarnished vision, this is more like I can see why this guy is like a dirtbag now.
Right. Yeah, you definitely see more of like him specifically through that. Definitely not as good as classic Ren and Stimpy, but also like kind of just fascinating to watch in a way.
Yeah, because it's pure id. This guy was given 6 episodes of like, here, do like the worst thing your brain has to offer. It's so violent and mean.
It's very mean-spirited, uncomfortably mean-spirited. Ren
and Stimpy. We also got we got the Rippin' Friends up here in Canada.
We got that on Fox Kids down here, and I never got to watch it because it was on Saturdays, and I had to go to like Catholic school on Saturdays, so I missed like a lot of.
Oh no! Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Oh man, really?
Missed out on the tunes. Did
you have to go to like school on the weekends?
Yeah, I mean, like I stopped doing that pretty early on because I kept complaining about it.
Yeah,
but I always have like I'd have to like tape Pokemon on Saturdays. It was a nightmare.
Whole fucking bullshit.
Really did not sell Catholicism on me, I gotta say. Really.
Yeah.
Really
Jesus would want me to watch Pokemon as it was airing.
Exactly.
He did not die for this. If he died for anything, it's for the kids to watch Pokemon on Saturday.
Yeah, but it's funny you bring up John K being a horrible human, because like the other like super big influence is Schmorky.
Oh yeah, Schmorky, but incredible. Here's the thing about Schmorky. I can't believe the hype on Schmorky because like all of that information was proffered out by Lotex.
Right. Yeah, like it's Lotex and Kiwi Farms are like the two sources of that information. So it's like I don't know. Like I'm not.
They're a diaper fetishist? They're a baby fur? Is that the whole thing about Schmorky?
No, I think like there were grooming accusations.
Oh, okay, there were grooming accusations.
Like the big thing that caused the whole Schmorky fallout.
Ah, well, that sucks. Fucking Schmorky. But again, that stuff is so influential. I mean, as an animator, like Schmorky was like just you would
an
admire the
guy
technical
posting
skill.
Things online. Yeah, Schmorky, wild stuff. They animated everything with a mouse, which is mind blowing.
What? That's insane. How?
Yeah.
And it looked that good.
Yeah, they like learned from like using like Mario Paint is when they got their start like animating things, and they just transitioned that into like Flash animations, and so that's like mind blowing. And just like in the spirit of like posting something every day, they were just constantly posting like comics and animations and stuff, and that's like like probably like the biggest influence or inspiration to like just churn things out and shit them onto the internet, really.
Absolutely, yeah. That process, but it's, you know, it's sort of diaristic in a way. That's what the Flash Tub was, is like, talk about a glimpse into a person's subconscious.
Right. I don't know what that word means, diaristic, but it sounds like
diarrhea.
It's diarrhea.
Oh, okay.
And it is diarrhea-like. It's both,
diarrhea.
in both senses of the terms. It is, you're doing your brain diarrhea. Because, like, I'll do bad comics. You know, you ever
Right.
have, like, a comic you put in, you're like, that was a bad one, but I put it out anyway.
Yeah, because
If you just checked which ones I don't like of Alex's, those are the
my
bad ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I'm also like, I'm never sure like what is good and funny and what isn't. And sometimes I'm like, oh, this one sucks, but I'll post it. And then it's successful. And sometimes I'm like, oh, this is a masterpiece, and like no one but me likes it.
Yeah. Sometimes you do one for them and one for... I mean, because then you develop a weird psychosis, too, where it's like, well, this is only popular because the braying masses love it, and then it must be inferior, and so, you know, you get into that thing where you can't win,
Right.
which is why you just shouldn't judge shit by internet numbers. You should judge it by your own, you know...
Yeah, I tried to make it like I tried to entertain myself above all, and just like tried to think of things I would find interesting or fun to draw or that make me laugh, which is often like just hyper obscure either video game or internet references that very few people get, or like references to Ditech commercials from the early 2000s, things like that.
Can I tell you what my favorite Leslie and Brienne comic is?
Yeah.
Just the one where Leslie's eating a sandwich angrily. I relate to that deeply on so many levels. That's just, I love the drawings, and it's such a good expressions on her on that. I love that
Thank
one.
you.
Yeah. I think there's speaking of problematic influences, you also mentioned Earthworm Jim earlier.
Right.
Which I love. Doug Tenenbaum is an amazing comic artist.
He is.
And also a crazy ass dude.
Yeah, he's like, I mean, he's an amazing illustrator and funny, but also like just
and
like
imaginative.
super hyper Christian, like to absurd degrees, like nut job guy, but amazingly talented. Like, yes, another in the trifecta of
problematic influences. Yeah.
The
I
John
got tons
Kay,
of those.
Schmorky, Doug Tenenbaum, like that's probably my like holy trinity of like, amazingly influential and inspiring, but also very, very problematic influences.
Oh, I was thinking the other day about how much I loved Werner Herzog, right? And it's like, yeah, he killed a bunch of guys. Due to negligence, he killed a bunch of guys at the Fitzcarraldo set.
In the name of art, okay?
You know, burden of dreams. The burden of dreams. You got to kill some guys to make a boat movie, okay? We're making a boat movie.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's weird the dance you do in your head. I mean, you can't. It is easy to separate the art from the artist to some degree. I think it's harder with like people like comedians, where so much of it is like not collaborative and it's just them. You know, I think that's why people have very strong reactions when like a comedian specifically is found out to do some horrible shit.
Right.
Like you're reading the shit about Chris D'Elia that's coming out recently. Oh my god,
there's new stuff.
Yeah, well, there's just new screenshots of him saying these incredibly long, specific, like fucked up text messages to a sex worker, and it's like if you love depraved shit that you shouldn't be reading, you should absolutely read this.
Ringing endorsement. I think I know what we're going to read on our bonus episode.
A bonus episode. We're reading these Chris D'Elia texts, and I'll do my flawless Chris D'Elia.
Everybody's going to want to tune into our bonus episode.
Yeah.
It's going to be explicit.
You should give them money so you can listen to it.
Exactly. We got the
Patreon.
Keith Stack endorsement. Keith Stack endorsement.
I hate to say, I don't know who Chris D'Elia is.
He's a terrible comedian who was what was really funny about him is that, are you aware of that show You?
No.
There's a Netflix show, You. It's about a boyfriend who's also a serial killer. But on the show, he plays a comedian who grooms and sexually assaults young women.
Right.
And then did it in real life. And the comedian is called Henderson. And so they're always calling him Henderson and the shit. You, I recommend You as well. It's pure trash. It's fucking garbage. And I love it. I love it.
Should check it out.
Yeah. That's the House of Decline seal of approval on You. We love Penn Badgley over here. We love Victoria Pedretti over here. I speak for Steven on this. Steven
How
also
do you know
loves
all
You.
of the names? Always.
I love naming actors. That's all. That's most of my brain.
Like, I don't remember. I don't even remember lines from movies. I kind of sort of remember a blur. And I'm like, yeah, I think I watched that movie. I think I watched something called The Boys. I was probably on my phone the whole time. I couldn't tell.
Well, The Boys is very blurry. It's some very blurry media that you won't remember all of.
I just finished season 3 last night.
How'd you like it?
I mean, they did the reset thing again, where now it's gonna just like go back to. I think someone on the Discord was saying that it's just every season they just like go back to square one.
Yeah, status quo.
Yep, that's cool. I'm down with that. I like that.
The Boys, the fucking Boys.
I have
Man,
not watched The Boys.
The Boys is good.
Yeah,
it's good.
It's good. Yeah.
I have like a very terrible attention span, so I have trouble like watching, serialized TV shows and movies that are long. So
it's funny to be
each episode is very long. So yeah, you'll have a problem with that, I think.
It's funny to be an animator with a short attention span.
Right. Well, I mean, when you're animating, you're like doing something.
You're in the flow.
I'm like a weirdo because like I feel like insane for saying this, but like watching a movie is like kind of a crazy concept to me. You just sit motionless and like stare at a thing for like 2 hours.
I'm constantly pausing it and doing something else and then coming back.
I guess we are. This is classic ADHD symptoms.
I guess so.
It takes me a day to watch something.
I think that most filmmakers would talk about, like, you hear David Lynch talk about movies, and he's like, you're given a window into somebody's dream, and when you're in it and you're in a darkened theater, you're in someone's dream, And I think when I get there's not a lot. I saw Nope recently, and I got some pretty in the theater, and I got some pretty good feelings from that movie. I got that dreamlike feeling that you're supposed to get when you devote your attention. I think that's what's good about theater spaces, like versus when you're watching a movie at home.
Right. I also saw Nope.
How did you like Nope?
I enjoyed it. I'm not smart enough to understand like themes in movies or read into movies or anything like that, but I enjoyed it. I wish it was scarier, I guess. That's my dumb guy take,
Yeah, it's not a scary movie. It's not like I wasn't fearful for the characters at any moment in the movie because sort of the spoilers for Nope going in.
Oh, big! This is a big. We got to make a big spoilers.
There's a big spoilers warning.
Effect.
Spoilers for Nope. Spoilers for Nope. But yeah, I do love the creature design. I love the fucking monster design. I thought it was cool that it's a big eye. It's a big camera eye, and that when it's like eating you, it's taking your picture, and it's like wings flare out.
Oh, that
like
makes sense.
Yeah,
that adds up.
Wow.
Yeah, the enemy is cameras.
Totally spoiled for me. You just totally spoiled.
Did you not see it?
No, not yet. I can't.
Oh, no.
Didn't see it yet. So,
well, it's like
dear old co-host owes me what do you owe someone when you spoil something for them?
Unspoiled food.
I get to spoil something for you.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
But I don't care about spoilers because I'm self-diagnosed neurodivergent, so it's fine. I don't care about spoilers.
Well, yeah, I am too, but I was hoping to use this as like I can get one over on you.
Yeah, collateral, leverage. That's what you need.
Yes.
Keith, back to cartoons. Back to cartoons.
I like cartoons.
Have you gotten to in any heat for a comic? Do you have any situations where you got heat for a comic?
I've definitely gotten like, yeah, I've made comics where people will get very upset at the comic. I mean, I don't know if I've gotten in heat. It hasn't affected me outside of people getting very angry in the comments to the comic.
Is it about like granular, like gaming stuff, or is it about like bigger stuff?
It's funny because like those are the two things that anger people. Like you either like
that's either abortion or
right.
Dark Souls 2. That's
you either
it.
like give an opinion about a video game or like an opinion about large societal issues.
Yeah,
and both like get sort of like an equal angry reaction. No, like when that letter leaked about like the Roe v. Wade being overturned, I made a comic which was like, oh, how would like Leslie and Brienne react to this?
Of course.
And like I had them like saying like property can always be replaced cheerfully. And people got very angry at that. And I guess that's as much heat as I've gotten, like people very angrily being like, I'd like to see your house and car destroyed.
Yeah, fuck you. You should get vandalized by these cartoon lesbians coming to your house. How would you like it if cartoon lesbians came to your house, started fucking up your lawn, started doing donuts in your lawn? That's funny. People were mad. People would get so mad when like a Wendy's has a brick thrown through it. They're like, no, the Wendy's. I guess people also don't like the idea of you congregating on the Supreme Court justices' lawns, even though that seems cool to me. I thought that seems pretty cool. Here's a guy who has a lot of power and does something bad. Let's make his life hell.
Right. You know what I found out you can do?
What can you do?
That's a thing. That's a prank. You can play. I sprinkled too much fox urine crystals on my driveway.
Again with the fox urine
to deter the chipmunks, and I sprinkled too much.
They should have Leslie and Brienne talking about fox urine crystals.
Yeah. Well, I stunk up the whole neighborhood. The entire neighborhood smelled horrible. People were walking by. I was peering out the window, peering behind the blinds. People were walking by holding their nose.
That's cool.
It was amazing. And yesterday, my wife made me hose off the driveway, unfortunately, and it doesn't smell so bad around here anymore.
No. So even if we were to put fox urine crystals on Brett Kavanaugh's driveway, you
could do it. You could put a lot. And if it wasn't going to rain for a while, he would have a stinky front lawn. And it's legal.
Totally by my legal fox. Oh, I'm sorry, cops. Are you trying to confiscate my legal jar of fox urine pellets? I'm sorry. I thought this was America. I thought this was about the Constitution.
Yeah, it's legal. You can't do anything about it.
Yeah, you can't do anything about it. It'd be funny if they tried to say it was like crack or something. Yeah, but I mean, that is like, I get why it's funny when people are mad and you can dismiss it. Have you ever gotten like a criticism where you were like, oh, that one's a good criticism. Oh, I feel bad now.
I don't know. Like, I've worked in animation for like a decade, so like yeah. I'm used to like notes and criticism, so I don't think anything hits me too hard, I guess. Yeah. I don't want to like hurt anyone, Yeah. I'm not like I'm not trying to offend or hurt anyone. So I guess like if anyone was ever like, "Oh man, that's not cool," I'd be bummed about that. Like I feel like I get the sense that for both me and you, and like maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I like very vulgar, edgelordy humor, but I also don't want to hurt or offend anybody.
Yeah, it's a hard balance to make. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. It's like but I think you can make a space for that. There is you can carve your own thing out.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I laugh at very like indefensibly shitty things.
Oh, yeah.
But also I never want to like hurt anyone, right? If that makes sense.
No, I think that comes across in the comic, and I think that's why Leslie and Brienne have been so well received, because there's no like weird rage behind them, and
Right.
like it's like you can usually tell, and also like you're not yet you are using them as a mouthpiece for you, kind of. But
Kind of. Well, like sometimes, like a wrestler, sometimes I'll find myself angry about some discourse online, and then like I guess exaggerate my anger sometimes, and then like use that as like a mouthpiece, just like a super hyperbolic, over the top version of what I'm thinking. Because it's fun to be like over the top and hyperbolic, and it's funny. That's why, like, absurdist like political cartoons like YOLO Swag Dog does. That's why those are like very funny.
If you have a sort of simmering rage, you can also attract a fan base like the Mom Life comics that have been going around.
Mom Life, I love Mom Life.
I also
Leave
love
her
Mom
alone.
Life.
219,000 Instagram followers. That's insane.
Those comics are so fucking funny. I mean, because I said I welcome the return of I hate my spouse humor, but I really mean that. Like, there's a line in 30 Rock where Alec Baldwin is asking Kenneth Parcell, "What do you find funny, Kenneth?" And he says, "Oh, the usual, I suppose. 2 hobos eating a bean. Women airline pilots." And that is my sense of humor. I like these really like corny jokes from like the 30s and shit like that. That hits my noodle in a right way. I forget where I was going with that point. I just wanted to relate that added.
I think that Mom Life Comics should start leaning in and going like a little Rodney Dangerfield on the...
Get no respect.
But like,
get no respect from my husband at all.
Just like say like the husband is like accidentally cutting his arm off all the time or something. He's like just doing more and more insanely stupid things.
Yeah. I like dumb husband comics. I think it's fine. I think it's he's not taking responsibility for child rearing, which is the thing.
I find the Mom Life comics interesting because we've done a gender role reversal in my household. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm a stay-at-home dad. So I find these comics supremely offensive. Okay.
You're child rearing, man. Yeah, you're like, this is not representative of me.
Yeah, not all dads are like that. Okay.
Yeah, not all dads. Okay. Where's the dad life coming about complaining about your horrible wife?
Yeah, I could never, because
have you
my
been
wife's
leaving
an
the
angel.
peaches?
What?
Yeah,
You've been leaving the peaches on the counter.
We generally, our dynamic is we both leave the fruit to rot, and then we have to clean up all this rotted fruit. And we're like, fuck, we didn't eat the fucking fruit.
See, I want to talk. Where's this comic? Where's this Mom Life comic about inattention to various fruits and vegetables?
It's hard. Them shits go bad.
They do go bad. Absolutely. That shit. I mean, talk about So comics don't work when they have that simmering rage behind. Like, the George Alexandropoulos or G Prime. That guy.
That sounds familiar. It's not ringing a bell off the top of my head.
He's the right-wing guy that does like the big-eyed children being traumatized by critical race theory, and he shows himself openly molesting women a lot, or he draws a lot of big-ass AOC comics.
Doesn't I know Ben Garrison will draw like a big-ass AOC.
He is known to draw a big-ass AOC. They love her. They love her so much. Which is, fine, because on the left they have Abby Shapiro as their problematic, as Big Titty Abby Shapiro as their problematic fave. So shouldn't say problematic fave. That's old hat now. Shouldn't say I say old hat a lot. I like that phrase.
Will old hat, the phrase old hat, ever be old hat?
I don't know. I don't think so. It will never be. It will always be renewed for new generations.
Like maybe it gets confusing when you talk about style, because you're like, oh, baggy pants, that's old hat. It's, the meanings of words start to break down.
Yeah. Oh, this new hat, that's old hat. So fucking dumb. So another thing, like, what do you do? How do you motivate yourself when you're not feeling creative or you're feeling sad and you're like trying to do a funny comic and you're like feeling fucked up? Will you just go with that feeling?
Yeah, I just, I'll like, I've been drawing like a daily, like Twitter drawing like since March 2020. So it's like, I got to draw something, right? So, I just even when I'm like not necessarily in the mood to draw something, I've made like a pretty good habit of like drawing anyway,
Yeah.
I guess, that's, working, like doing a job like in animation, I draw every day at work. And so I've got that in me to just make something.
Keith, I have a question that I think some fans might be interested in.
Sure.
What kind of tools or equipment do you use to draw?
So for the Twitter comics, it's Microsoft Paint.
Hell yeah,
MS Paint. Just because it's very easy to turn something out in it. You open it up and you draw and you post it. And then for animations, like it's Flash. It's which is called
still
like
Flash.
Adobe
Are you using
Animate
a tablet
nowadays.
when you use Paint?
Yeah. I've got one of those fancy big Cintiq monitor tablets. I do all my drawing on.
There you go.
And
There
then
you go.
I'll use like if I'm doing animation, sometimes I'll use like After Effects or Premiere and stuff to put things together.
What is so your animation? Your who are your big animation influences besides the problematic guys besides John K and John Tenaple?
I don't know, like everything I grew up watching, I guess, and like I guess all the people the amazing talented people I've like worked with and have taught me everything I know about animation. But I mean, like I guess again, Ren and Stimpy is like the biggest
big one, yeah.
influence. That's always like I guess I'm striving for. I guess in my head, like early Ren and Stimpy is like the pinnacle of cartoons.
Absolutely, because it's a different pose every second. The music works so well.
Right.
It didn't invent that thing where you have a really hyper detailed frame that goes
right. No,
when you do a
that's
close up,
like
but it perfected that gag, and I love that gag. It hits every time. They do it in SpongeBob a lot.
Right.
It hits every time for me.
The gross up.
Yeah, the gross up. Exactly. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the term I've always heard used for it.
I didn't know that. It's very whimsical. I like that a lot. Here's a question for animators: Tex Avery, Bob Clampett, or Chuck Jones? If you have to choose one, who is your?
I guess I guess almost a tie between Tex Avery and Bob Clampett, but I guess I would lean towards Tex Avery just because I find him the funniest.
Very cool. Because I Tex Avery, I'm a Chuck Jones guy because I'm a cutesy guy. I love cutesy shit. And Chuck Jones had the cutesiest shit out of all of them. But I also love his character designs. But I feel like Bob Clampett is like, when I think of Bob Clampett, I think of like an illustrator like, who does Swan Boy? Who's the name of the guy?
Branson Reese?
Yeah, Branson Reese. He has a very Clampett-esque, I think zany.
Right.
Whereas, like, but yeah, I think Avery, like, he is the preternatural edgelord. He is the edgelord. He is he's doing all this risque shit, and it's like charged and like sexual and weird, and and I love Tex. I mean, they're all brilliant, but I think everyone in animation has one which they hew closer to.
Right. I think I was inspired also. There's like a Tex Avery interview where he was like pretty like open that like, I'm nowhere near as good an animator as like my fellow animators. So I tried to just be like over the top to compensate for it, which is a nice relieving thing to hear someone just like be open about like not being the best at their craft. I guess.
Well, I mean, that's what I've learned with my comics. You don't need a ton of technical ability if you can somehow carve out something that's, at least I like to think, a little idiosyncratic,
Right.
If you manage to do that, who cares if you can't draw? You only have to draw something to get the idea across, and that's enough, You don't have to be fucking Titian over here. You don't got to be goddamn, Dali or whatever.
The
that's
AI?
cartoons. Yes, the AI. That's who I mean when I say Dolly. That is the first thing I mean. The beautiful painter.
I tried to put some have Dolly make some cartoons. It didn't work so well.
Didn't you try to make have you been tempted to put Leslie and Brienne into Dolly and see if what their Leslie and Brienne
I
cartoons
have
would be?
typed that in. I don't think they're popular enough for them to grab images of them, but I've put in descriptions of them and gotten weird, goofy images out of it.
Here's another thing about Leslie and Brienne. Your webcomic by far has the most fan art I see of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, that's super cool. I love it so much. It's
so flattering. Whenever I get fan art, it's but people have it seems have developed intense emotional relationships with these characters.
Which is also intimidating and scary.
There's some amazing fan art. I was browsing
beautiful, when you're looking at a piece of hentai that's beautiful and it's damn. There's a lot of that for your characters that it's that's so fucking flattering. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's insane. I have to not think too hard about it. It's one of those things where the amount of followers and likes on the Twitter, I have to just not think about it, or I think I'd just go insane.
Yeah, egomaniacal.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I liken it to is in Lord of the Rings when Galadriel has being tempted by the ring, because I think of that shit every day. It's I get a lot of likes. I want to be a queen, and you shall. I have to tamp that shit down. But yeah, it's also there becomes a corollary fear to you're going to do wrong by this fan base you've now cultivated.
Yeah,
That's what if you take Leslie and Brienne in a way they don't like? What's going to happen then? But I don't think that's not going to happen, because
I don't know. That is a fear. One day I'm going to make a comic and people are going to be like, that's not how that character would react to that situation, and everyone's going to turn on me, and they're going to destroy all my prop. They're going to team up with the people who want to destroy my property.
Yeah, this team of rioters in Leslie and Brienne costumes come to you. I think I don't think that's going to happen, because I think what you were alluding to, you say you don't want to hurt anybody. I think that fundamental gentleness of spirit comes through in the comics as well, which I think is important to have. Yeah. There is a weird wholesomeness. Do you find there is a weird wholesomeness to the comics?
Yeah. I mean, it's a comic about love. It's about loving relationship between two people. So, I think it's inherently wholesome to that extent. Mm-hmm. Also, sometimes, I'm making a comic every day, and sometimes you feel like being a little troublemaker, edgelord, jokester, and sometimes you just want to be a little cutie and draw something cute. Yeah,
so I'm a little cutie sometimes. Yeah. That's exactly how I feel. Sometimes I am feeling vulnerable and emotional, and we'll show you. It's hard to know when to do that, because you're afraid of making a Lost style comic where there's a tonal shift and it's people react to it poorly, but the problem with Lost is that it was just executed very, very. I mean, it's so. To me, that's I admire that comic so fucking much.
Oh, me too.
Because it's the funniest joke. Just 15 years of just innocuous gaming comics of just nothing but the most staid, basic jokes about gaming, and then bam!
It really is the greatest punchline. It's really.
It's 15 years of setup to this fucking horrifying depiction of a miscarriage.
I'm still laughing at it. I hope I make a Lost comic one day.
Yeah.
I would be honored to make something like that has that sort of lasting power and recognizability, and is that funny that long afterwards. I can only dream of making something as good as Lost.
Oh, to the point where one of my most popular comics is them discovering the rune. The rune they made that is Lost, it's people know it just from the vague positions of the characters. It is totally ingrained itself, because it is. I think also just wholly representative of part of internet culture, which is that tonal whiplash.
Right.
It is the best example of that.
I think we've talked over Messenger before about like the defying expectation by like doing something very super gross and weird and offensive, and then like the whiplash of doing something super wholesome like right afterwards, and like going back and forth, like leaving that like lack of expectation. That
you don't know what you're getting.
Yeah,
you could be life is like a box of chocolates,
exactly,
in that sense of the word. But I also think because that's life as well. That's what I liked about where I got that idea, or where I pick up that major influence is from David Lynch, where it's like in Twin Peaks you'll have the worst thing you've ever seen, and then this heartbreaking scene where it's Norma and Ed. And and this like lovely little romance as well. So I like that idea of like, you don't get the good without the bad. You got to mix it up. You got to show like stupid or mean or horrible shit sometimes, and then balance it out with moments of joy. I think when it's just, I mean, that's the thing about the Mom Life comics, is that it's just, it would be better if it seemed to be balanced out by more moments of like, a funny thing happened or a joyful thing happened, maybe. But it's all
I don't think anyone would like have the outrage if afterwards it was like, oh, but I love him and he makes my life great.
But I mean, that's the humor of the comics. It's just it's the fucking worst. Marriage is the fucking worst. I hate it. Fuck this shit. It's like Everybody Loves Raymond. Have you ever watched Raymond? Did you ever watch Raymond?
I've watched a lot of Raymond. Yes.
What's funny about Raymond to me is that in a lot of sitcoms, like of that era, where it's like nagging wife, dumb guy, like Yes Dear or King of Queens, it will be obvious that like the lady is better than the guy. Right. It will be like, but in Raymond, she's terrible. She is just not good.
Yeah, I guess it is more balanced in that show than.
I don't know. Maybe that's just my interpretation. I'm sure this is the take that will get my heat. But yeah, the problem with that is the writing too. They never gave her anything funny to do. She was just always the straight woman in the show. Deborah, she was just always angry. She's just consistently angry. And then you find out what like Patricia Heaton, the actress who played Deborah.
I'm the wrong guy to ask.
Yeah, that would know, Alex.
I don't know, but I remember seeing she's a big Christian as well.
Okay,
and so
I think the wife on King of Queens is also like
she was Scientology, Leah Remini, but she got out of Scientology and now she's anti-Scientologist.
Gotcha.
And she's cool. She's cool now.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Her Rogan interview was fun. I don't know, but I mean, I listen to Rogan because it's like, gotta have your finger on the pulse of America. You
listen to Rogan?
Yeah, occasionally. If he has an interesting guy on,
well,
I think it's very.
This is the episode that gets you canceled for sure.
I don't approve of Rogan, but I think it's like, if you want to know what like a million dumb guys are thinking right now, he's like a very good. He's a very good barometer.
Why would you want to know that?
Okay. You know the episode of Malcolm in the Middle where Hal gets the muscle men, the team of muscle men behind him?
You want that?
I want that. I want that. And I feel like listening to Rogan will be a good way of, acclimatizing myself to, muscle man mindset.
I feel that need too, to also just like sort of see like all the viewpoint, all the like like with internet communities, especially just like to like take a peek into like what like the worst of the worst take on like every big thing is. Like I find that like pretty fascinating to check out.
The lolcow phenomenon. But it's not, you're not doing lolcows like Kiwi Farms where you're investigating and trying to hurt somebody.
No. Like, but I am like if there's a big news story and like, like I guess like pretty, like I'm a pretty lefty guy. I'll read the Twitter and everyone on my Twitter and like everyone's take on a thing, and I'm always like, oh, what is like 4chan polls take on this? And I'll look
yeah, you gotta have polls. What's their fresh take?
And so I also like I'll listen to the Chapos and whatnot, but then I'm also like, oh, what's like the like shitty alt-right podcast take on
what's
the
Dan
situation?
Bongino saying? What's Nick Fuentes saying?
Yeah.
A lot of people have a morbid fascination with Nick Fuentes. I've realized he's a subject of right-wing fixate of people who are
Bongino,
fixated on
huh?
right. Dan Bongino. You know about Dan Bongino?
I
Yeah.
don't.
Is it Bongino?
It's not it's not Bongino. It's either a hard G or a Eno. Yeah,
Bongino? Either way, his name is funny. I like Bongino because it sounds like it's Italian for good vagina. Hey, it's Bongino. I'm very, very stupid. Yeah,
It's like a gender swap Bon Jovi.
there you go. There you go. I think that would be hot. That would actually be super fucking hot because Bon Jovi is very hot. So, and it's very good music. It's excellent music. We're big Bon Jovi fans here at House of Decline.
Yeah, he's got a fun guitar player. What was the guitar player's name?
Richie Sambora. I share a birthday with him.
Yeah. But you always have to refer to him as Bon Jovi's Richie Sambora.
Bon Jovi's Richie Sambora. Yeah, absolutely.
He belongs to Bon Jovi. Mm-hmm. Right?
He is a squire. He is Bon Jovi's squire. I would like to be a squire to the Haim sisters.
Cool. Yeah, they made a movie about that.
Oh yeah, they did actually. they made a whole movie about being a squire.
They made a movie about like a guy a lot like you wanting to do that very thing.
I recognize because I also wish Philip Seymour Hoffman was my dad, but then he would be dead. So I guess I'd be sad.
Do you think he's sad? Do you think that kid is sad?
Yeah, I think he's a little sad. I'd be sad if
sad?
my cool dad died.
I bet he's pretty sad. He didn't seem sad in the movie, but I guess
Yeah, I
that's
wasn't say he was the squire to Haim.
Yeah,
You know,
I
you
guess
can't be
that's-
sad when you're
that's
macking
acting.
with hot Jewesses. That's they're fucking. I think they're great. I love whenever like Jewish women, get seen as being attractive. I think that, or when Jewish men. That's why I love Azalea Banks, because she loves Jewish men. She sees the beauty in Jewish men.
That's so cool.
That is cool.
Keith,
Yes.
it is time. It is time to plug some stuff. What do you have to plug?
Sure. You should go to the House of Decline Patreon and give them money.
Thank you.
Yeah. I have a Twitter. It's at Keith John Stack. The E comes before the I in Keith, which trips some people up because they're used to the I before E rule.
Yeah.
And I post daily comics on there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
I'm going to link to that in the description of the podcast. So
Thank you.
If you don't want to type it out, if your fingers are tired, you can go there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to wrap it up. Alex, you got final thoughts, final words?
My only final thoughts is, Keith, I'm so glad you came on the show. I
me
love
too.
your comics. I think
thank
they're
you. I love your
absolutely brilliant.
comics.
Oh, thank you so much. And we hope to see Leslie and Brienne into infinity.
Me too. And I hope to see the Penis Man comics into infinity.
I'll do them until, my hand gets broke.
I'm excited. I'm not excited to see your hand get broke, but I'm
You were
excited
to see my hand get broke.
A little, but I'm excited to see you do that until that occurs.
Hell yeah. Well, everyone, to infinity we go into the comics night. Good night.